Hello, dancers. Today's story is The Frog Prince. Once upon a time, there was a princess who had no friends. The king and queen invited other boys and girls to play, but they would not stay for long. She doesn't share, they said. She doesn't keep her promises. We don't like playing with her. I don't care, the princess said. I don't like them anyway. So the princess became used to playing by herself. She liked to play down by the deep mill pond with her best toy, an old ball made of the purest gold, which her grandmother had given her. One day she dropped the ball. Before she could stop it, it rolled into the pond. I'll never find it now, she wept. Just then a small voice came from the pond. What's the matter, little girl? Why are you upset? There were two eyes poking out of the water. I'm not a little girl. I'm a princess, and I'm upset because I just dropped my golden ball into the water, and now I'll never see it again. A head popped up. Don't cry, it croaked. Ugh, I said the princess. I'm talking to a frog. You're lucky you are, answered the frog. I can rescue your ball from the pond. Really, said the princess. I'll give you a reward. I've got some lovely jewels, even a crown. That's no use to me, croaked the frog. If I rescue your ball, it would be nice if you would be my friend. I could come to your palace and have a meal with you, and maybe even a sleepover. Of course, said the princess. I promise. Without another word, the frog dived below the surface. After what seemed like ages, she saw a dark shape coming up to the surface with a shiny ball in its mouth. The frog hopped out of the water and dropped the ball. Thank you, said the princess, and goodbye. I have to be home for supper. Wait, called the frog. We're supposed to be friends now. Don't be silly, the princess called back. Who ever heard of a frog being friends with a human, let alone a princess? The very next morning, the princess was at breakfast when there was a knock at the door. Who could that be? Asked the king. I'll go, offered the princess. It might be a present. She ran to the door and opened it. To her horror, there was the frog sitting on the stoop. She slammed the door shut and went back to the table. Who was at the door, dear? Asked the queen. Just a frog, muttered the princess, feeling a little ashamed at how she treated it. A frog? What would the frog want with us? Inquired the king. Then they heard more knocking and the reedy croak of the frog. Please let me in. Remember your promise. A promise is a promise, said the queen. You better tell us all about it. So the princess told them how the frog had rescued her beloved golden ball. Well, said the king, you must let it in. The princess went slowly to the door and opened it. You promised I could come and visit, the frog reminded. Is breakfast ready? I'm hungry. And he hopped right in. Even though it was only a frog, it was very much at home in grand surroundings. Nice palace you've got here. This is a nice breakfast. May I sit next to you? Don't be silly, retorted the princess. You're just a frog. You must be kind, her parents reminded her, and you must keep your promises. So the princess lifted it up to the table and joined them for breakfast, and it was very good company and told lots of good jokes. There were times when the princess almost forgot it was a frog. They played together all day. The frog knew some very good games, and they both had a lovely time. What are they playing? Hide and seek. Time for bed, her parents called. Frog, would you like to stay over? I'd love to, croaked the frog, but the princess was not so sure. Her parents reminded her of her promise. Oh, well, if I have to. Although she wouldn't admit it, she quite enjoyed getting ready for bed. The frog knew lots of really exciting bedtime stories, and it was very late before they were both asleep. princess woke up the next morning to the sound of quiet, tiny sobs coming from the frog. "What's the matter?" she asked. "All I wanted was a proper friend," sobbed the frog. "But you're only doing this because your parents told you you have to. I may as well go back to the pond." "Oh, please don't cry," said the princess. "I had fun. I actually forgot you were a frog some of the time. I think we can be friends. I know some really good games we can play today. Now please stop crying." And with that, she gave the frog a friendly kiss on the cheek. There was a sudden flash, and all at once the frog vanished, and a boy appeared in his place. He wore the finest clothes and had a splendid crown. "Oh, thank you," he cried. "I was trapped in a spell, but now I can go back to my life as a prince." "Not before we've played those games," said the princess. And they had such a lovely time playing together that the prince decided to stay another day, and then another, and then it seemed silly to ever leave. And they became the very best of friends. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great rest of class.